I made a post on Facebook today, and somebody commented about, and they used a term that I really don't like, and it's living wage. You hear politicians use this term quite often, and it sounds good in theory, like people should be able to work and be able to live off of whatever they're doing as far as a job. But I can't imagine that every possible job in the world, or let's just say in this country, can support a family, like a full family. It's just not possible. And for the government to try to come in and artificially create a scenario in which even the most menial job can support an entire family, it's just never going to work. Because owners of businesses that would have jobs that cannot produce enough revenue to justify that job, they would just cut that job or go out of business or whatever. No matter how much you want this fantasy of, a guy that sweeps the floor can make enough money to support a family, it's not going to happen. Now, to me, minimum wage, federal minimum wage, or really any minimum wage from a government dictating a minimum wage, if it was up to me, there would be no such thing. Now, immediately upon hearing that, the uninitiated would think, well, that's pretty cruel. You want people to make 5 cents an hour or whatever. Well, I don't believe anybody would work for 5 cents an hour, or there aren't very many people that would work for $1 an hour, depending on what they were doing. If you could do it, if you could do that job while you're doing another job, maybe you would do it for $1 an hour. But the whole idea of a wage as being like you have to have this minimum wage that an employer must give you in the form of dollars. See, that's where a lot of people don't think this through. Because an employer can give you more than just wages. They can give you things of value. And I made a video on this on a YouTube channel that I had like 10 years ago. And some people thought that I was being naive, but here's a scenario that could occur, and it's actually pretty easy to see, because think about health insurance right now and how that is so tied to employment, right? Well, imagine a married couple, and one guy, the woman in the family has got a really good paying job, and she's got decent benefits or whatever, and the guy is unemployed. And if we didn't have minimum wage, imagine there was an employer that had some association with a really good health insurance provider, and he was able to offer this guy a job, but he couldn't pay him any money. But what he could do is he could offer him health insurance for him and his entire family. That was just like, golden freaking life insurance or health insurance. I think I said life insurance the first time. I mean health insurance. But he couldn't, he could not pay him any money. Well, that guy might think, hey, this is better than a minimum wage would be. Like, this insurance is way more valuable to me than $7, $8, $9, $10 an hour, whatever it is. I will work this job because my wife makes a good wage already. I will do this job just for the health insurance. Well, under a scheme that the federal government has in place right now, you wouldn't be able to have a scenario like this because they are required, the employer would be required to pay you that wage, which means dollars. So, you know, in a total free market, there would be other ways that employers could compensate their employees other than wages. And just setting an artificial minimum wage is not going to work anyway. Imagine, why don't we just do it $50? You always hear these people that exaggerate, but it's not a bad like scenario to work out, because what would happen, inflation would take over, whatever. You're just making shit up when you have a minimum wage. It should be negotiable. You can have whatever, you know, if you can find someone to work that's willing to work for $1 an hour, that should not be illegal. That person isn't being forced to work for $1 an hour. They're agreeing to work for $1 an hour. That seems like a real severe situation. And I know people say, oh, everybody's labor is worth more than $1 an hour. Well, maybe, but maybe that guy's working for $1 an hour because he knows he's learning on the job and getting training. And, you know, you've heard all these arguments before. But the one that I don't hear often enough is the one that I just laid out earlier with the health insurance. There's other ways, and for the government to come in and make these rules and regulations, I think it just hurts everybody all around, businesses, employees, and people always say, well, then the employers will take advantage of their employees if there's no minimum wage. Well, if I don't know what minimum wage is right now. I worked minimum wage when I was in school, but let's say it's $8 an hour. I don't know. If that's all my employer has to pay me, why am I not getting $8 an hour right now? I know people that started at Walmart. My son started as a cashier at Walmart when he was in high school. Like, I guess it was like 11 years ago. And they paid him more than minimum wage to start. So just because the minimum wage is there doesn't mean that's automatically going to be the starting wage. And so taking away minimum wage and making it zero doesn't mean that automatically they're going to try, well, I'm just going to drop everybody's wages down to $1 now because I don't have to. No, it's not going to work because another business will give them more. We don't need the government to set this freaking bar at all. But, you know, that's just me being logical.